Hi everyone. Today what I wanted to do is give a brief explanation on some numerology points, some of the points that Nikola Tesla was speaking about. And that way all of you can do a little bit of practicing with numbers and to see how numbers play a significant role in your life and the patterns that your life goes by. So first off, what you want to start with is the upright pyramid. And there's a reason for this. Pyramids, or triangles, I should say, are part of sacred geometry. In another instance, it plays symbolism of the male aspect. It's the erect, and this can be shown in the private part of a male. So just like we would say in religious context, our Father, or him, the number, the first, the erect. So we use this as part of that significance because part of this is to show you the link between the universe, God, and everything in it, and how this is tied in with it. So this is the reason why you'd really want to take a look at this process and see it for yourself. It's one thing to see me do it and to watch me do it, but it's a whole nother thing for you to actually put it into practice with yourself. So one of the first things you'll do is you'll start with the number 9 here. A lot of people will say, well, why don't you start with the 1? Why don't you start with the 3 there? There's all these different questions on why you would want to use the number 9 here at the top in particular. And that's because 9 is a very significant number. And this isn't just my belief. There's a lot of like old wives' tales or jokes even that tie into this to show the significance of 9. And there's a lot of other proofs. I'm not going to get into those. Maybe I'll do different videos for those to kind of give you a more in-depth of why this is the way it is, because there is reason for this. And it's not just coincidence. There's specific reason why you put this one first. So you start with the 9 here. Then you'll put the 1, 2, 3 at the corner, 4, 5, 6 in this corner, 7, 8, and then the 9 is there. Now this is the first step. This is also a better way to understand the masculine way of thinking, or the left brain hemisphere, which is also masculine in its processing of thoughts and information. It's very organized and prioritized, so it's sequential. It goes step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, step 8, last but not least, step 9. It's also a continuation of those things, of building on top of each other and to the point where it's the highest number that it could reach. And if you'll also take notice, 3, 6, and 9 are in the corners of this triangle. Nikola Tesla once said that if you understand the laws of 3, 6, and 9, you'll understand the universe and everything in it. And there's a very significant reason why, because when you see these things and how they work and play with each other, you'll start to see a deeper understanding of how this plays a large role in everything in our lives. When your math teacher growing up says that life is math, it's greatly in depth in our lives everywhere you look. So the first part that you want to go from here is the second step. Where do we go from here? There's a lot of different things that you can do with this. You can, the one we're going to do right now is adding them together, okay? Because these numbers play different roles in our lives. We have addition, we have subtraction, we have multiplication, and then we have division. Well, that's more of a percentage, but sorry, I got carried away in symbolism here. Division. Okay, so there's all these different routes you can take, and I would recommend you doing that in your own time. But for right now, I'm only going to take you through that first step to see for yourself, and I'm not even going to do it all the way. I'm only going to do the first step from this point to the next point and to give you an understanding of what this is. I'll let you do that all on your own, and then I'll come back in other videos and do some other things to give you more in depth of what's going on here. So when we add these together, this is the first one we're going to do, and there's some symbolism in this additional sign. This upward line going up and down is the erect. It has to do with God, the one. Again, that's what this is a symbol of. It's the erect, the one. And so this is considered spirit, okay? This horizontal line, because it's a horizontal line, it has to connect with the horizon. The horizon connects with where earth meets the heavens. So this is the earth. So this is grounding. This is spirit. This is the material world, okay? So since we're going to add these first, the way we do it, we're using numerology. So if we get any double digits, we have to work it into a single digit. So the way we're going to do this is we just take the ones that are right next to each other. The ones closest to us are the ones that we learn and grow from the most. So you're not going to jump around and skip these, although I'm sure you could, and you could find something else, and I'd recommend, if that's what you feel, to do it and share it. But in this particular case, I did the ones next to it, and this shows something just in that. So the way you would do this is you would say 9 plus 1 is 10. Well, to get this into a single digit with numerology, you're taking these two numbers and you're adding them together. So 1 plus 0 would be equal to 1. So this first answer for 9 plus 1 equaling 10, we're just going to put a number 1 here. And then the next few are going to be easy. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 4 is 7. 4 plus 5 is 9. 5 plus 6 is 11. Now, here's a double digit. So what we'll do is we'll look at 1 plus 1 is 2. And we'll move that to a 2. Now, we have 6 plus 7, which would be 13. We'll take the 1 plus the 3 equals 4. Now we'll do the same thing here. 7 plus 8 would be 15. 1 plus 5 is equal to 6. Now the last one, 9 plus 8. This equals 17. 1 plus 7 is equal to 8. Now you could say that I just did this here so you won't have to. But this is a one step of learning something. Once you take this down and you start doing it for yourself, your mind will wrap certain thoughts around what's going on here, and it'll connect with you in a different way than just listening and watching me do it. So again, I truly encourage you to try to do this on your own, and it's very simple math. So it's just a nice process to go through and to look at and see for yourself what it's explaining. Now, one of the things you'll notice, and that I noticed when I first did this, is you're still left with one of every number. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. None of the numbers are repeated, and each one of them is still there in this process. Now what happens, since you started with this upright triangle, the second step of this, if you really look at how the numbers played out because of these corners, this is now the point of the period. This is the sides, and because there's two numbers at the top now, it's like these two numbers at the bottom. So to give you a better example of what I mean, now we would draw this upside down. And this may take you a little while to understand why it flips upside down, but if I were to organize these numbers a little bit better, it would actually show you the pyramid is now upside down, because where there's two numbers here, these two numbers here, two numbers, and now one number, it does the same thing now here. These are the two inside numbers, 8 and 1. 6 and 3 are again those corner numbers. So not only did it flip around, but this 3, 6, and 9 has still remained in the same points of the triangle. They won't always do this, but it's important to take note in what parts of the process it does this. So you have the 6 and the 3, and now you have 4 and 5. And now on the corners over here, or on the sides, you have 2 and 7. Now this is the female energy. This is the yoni, or water. This is fire. But this process produces the feminine. And the thing about the feminine is you'll notice that the numbers are not in the same organization as the masculine. And this is a way that you could understand feminine females a lot more. Is one side of this is 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, which are odd numbers. The other side, 2, 4, 6, 8, are even. So somehow, some way, feminine energies develop a relationship between numbers that may not be seen in the masculine way of seeing how things and priorities go. Instead, the female energies uses an intuition base by getting to know the personalities and characteristics of these numbers, and then she's able to put them together saying, oh, well, 4, 6s, 8, 2 goes into all of those. So these all have these similar relationships with each other. So these 2, 4, 6, 8 are the evens. And these 1, 3, 5, 7, 9s are odds. So it's an intuitive thing, and it's the second part, which is also how we relate 1 and 2, or this is why the first letter of the alphabet is A, representing this pyramid upwards, and then we got B as the second letter of the alphabet. So all these things tie in with each other. Now, this isn't the finished product. You want to continue to do the same thing that you did for this one. You want to take the 8 and the 1, add them together, the 1 and the 3, add them together, the 3 and the 5, add them together, the 7 and the 5, add them together. Now remember, that would be 12. 1 plus 2 is 3, so I'm putting a 3 there. And then 9 plus 7, 16, so 1 plus 6, 7. And again, the same thing happens again. All numbers are there. All numbers are accounted for. None of them are doubled. And each one is there just one time. Now, as you notice from the first one, it went from a pyramid upwards, the masculine, to a pyramid downwards, which is feminine. Which again is also, this is proved in your private parts. This is a masculine male part. This is the feminine female part. So, or I should say reproductive system. It depends on how you want to say it. So since this pyramid flipped around, if you look at the numbers again, you'll notice that it's doing the same thing that you had to do here. It flips it around. So now you got to put this pyramid upside again. This is the 3. Christ, the C, or the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Now, this goes a little bit deeper. Now you want to follow the numbers again. 9, once again at top. 4, 8, 3 on that bottom corner again, 7, 2, 6, 1, and 5. And these numbers, again, are coming from these numbers here, just like these red numbers here added to these red numbers here. And from the son, the child, from the mother and the father, you'll notice that the next male has a whole nother way of seeing things, a mixture of the two. This also goes into an alchemical process, and I'll just do a brief description of that. I mentioned that the left brain hemisphere, the masculine, this is how it sees things. This is the beginning part of life on how you see things and how you learn things and how you do things. This is the second part, the elevated level, where you're starting to go into intuitive, invisible, filling things out. It's the female energy, the right side of your brain hemisphere. This is where music and art and all those other things come from. You're able to bring them from something, from nothingness into somethingness, just like a woman is able to bring a life from the seed to the egg into an actual life force. And so this life force has done something else for us, where the organization of the numbers are a lot different now. We have 9, 4, 8, 3, 7, 2, 6, 1, 5. Now, I'm not going to get into the relation with that as I did with the evens and the odds, because it gets a lot more complicated. But the one thing that you could start to notice here as well is that you can start to add up the numbers to the side. There's many different processes you're going to do here at once to see what I'm saying. The easiest one in the first step is to go through each one of these processes and continue to do this pattern every time until you get the same pattern once again. Okay? When this first pattern repeats itself, now you know from that point on, it'll continue to repeat itself over and over and over again, so you don't need to go any further. Once you get to the pattern repeating, you've done everything there is to do in this process. So it's just important to start to look at what exactly is this showing you for every part that you go through. Because each part of this process is to show you and give you a greater understanding of these numbers. But like you say, what would these numbers have to do anything with my life? These numbers play a very significant role in your life. For instance, I'll give you one instance of that. So again, let me reiterate this again to take a look and just put the numbers 9 at the top. And I'm going to show you briefly, real quick, a little bit more about the 9 to give you a better understanding of why the 9 is there and what I'm talking about, how 9 or numbers in general play a role in your life. So remember, for the first part to start, you just have an upright triangle, the father, or the first, the erect. And then you take priority from there. 9 at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? It's real simple. It's not too complicated. And as you do it, you'll get to see a little bit more and more of what exactly it's trying to show you. Because you got to trust that with your own mind and your own thoughts and your own heart, things will become clearer as you're looking through this. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit about the 9. The 9 is seen as here and there. And part of that goes into the story of, like, for instance, our degrees. We have 360 degrees. And it's because we have the 3 and the 6 is present. Now, you can take, in numerology, you can take these 3 together, and it's going to equal 9. So the 9 is here in spirit, but it's not actually there in the number system. And zeros are the representation of sacred space. So that's the reason why 9 isn't in physical form, because it's in sacred space. This 9 also represents the reason why it's on the top of the pyramid is because this top of your pyramid, the top of the pyramid, is your mind's eye. So your mind's eye isn't just here. When you go to sleep at night and you dream and you go into other vast places and experiences, this is the mind's eye. This is the sacred space where 9 is here and there. Your body is here in this material world, while your mind's eye, your spirit, is off in the spiritual world, experiencing and doing all things without needing anything, having all things in its experience and necessary that it needs, and that's all it needs. So here's a little bit of information on why the 9 goes at the top, how it connects with your mind, how it connects and perceives things. Another part is when you're reading a book, your mind's eye opens up and starts to create the images in the book that you're reading, to create that world and experience that you're reading through. So if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask them. I do understand a lot of people that read books and dump the books and are part of that book club. They might want to argue that this is something against what they believe, but I promise you this is with what you believe as well. It's just you haven't come to see it yet. Begin to let yourself to see these things, and you'll get to see the truth in the things that you believe. Have a good day.